Hi, I'm Christopher Gomez. Thanks for watching us today. President Trump's new tax plan. That is the subject of today's opening statement. On Wednesday, Mr. Trump revealed a new tax plan. The plan proposes many new additions to our tax system. I'll be giving all the major points, not the finer details. First, I'll give the facts, and then my opinion. The first and biggest point is this. Now there are 7 brackets in which by your income is determined the percentage of taxes you will pay. This new bill proposes that it become a 3-bracket system. The lower bracket for the lower class would be a 10% tax, the middle bracket for the middle class would have a 25% tax, and the upper bracket for the upper class would have a 35% tax. One of the most important parts of this bill is that all deductions from your taxes will be abolished except charitable and mortgage deductions. This means you will get very few discounts on your taxes. It has also been proposed that newly married people do not have to pay taxes on their first $24,000 of income. The administration believes that this will stimulate new marriages. The administration is also trying to eliminate the death tax. The death tax is a tax you must pay if you inherit money from past loved ones. President Trump believes that this money is rightfully theirs. Now for the corporate side. The corporate tax will be going down from 35% to 15%, and things shipped overseas will only have a one-time tax. Now that I've presented the facts, now I will give you my opinion. This tax plan has good intentions, I'm assuming, from the Trump administration. It is closing loopholes for corporations and making the system fairer. But the Trump administration is not really cutting taxes. We are getting a cut on the percentages, but we are losing our deductions, which means we are virtually paying the same, maybe a little bit less. This tax plan isn't bad, but it's not helping us. Nice try, President Trump, but it won't get by the St. Kevin report. Now we have France Alvarez with a report on the French election.
Thank you, Christopher. Everyone is watching the French election, which finalizes on May 7th, with the election of the new president of France. As of last week, the candidates during the election have been François Fillon, Benoît Hamon, Marine Le Pen, Emmanuel Macron, and Jean-Luc Mélenchon. However, just this past Sunday, April 23rd, after the first round of votes, the 2 candidates moving on in the election to become French president are Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen. The election is historic for France, as the 2 candidates that are moving on in the election defeated the parties that have been ruling in France for decades, the socialist and the center-right opposition Republicans. Among the ideas of Marine Le Pen are that she wants to abandon the euro, return to the franc, and renegotiate France's European Union membership. On the other hand, Emmanuel Macron wants to strengthen the European Union ties. So now let's see what the unusual election brings. Le Pen or Macron?
Okay, so what is the relation between the French election and our election here in the United States?
Well, a big reason why I think both elections are related is because Le Pen is a populist just like Trump was, and has gotten much support like Trump, but I don't think Le Pen will win.
Okay, thank you, friends. Now we have Alessandra Infante reporting on the situation in Venezuela.
Thank you, Christopher. Crisis in Venezuela. Protests against the government continue due to food shortages, rising unemployment, and anger at the current president, Nicolás Maduro. On Monday, April 24th, major streets and highways were blocked by protesters. Many Venezuelan citizens went out to support their nation on what they believe is best for their country. 4 people were killed and many injured. One of the protesters, by the name of Elba Perez, who is 90 years old, said, "I came because I want to see the end to this embarrassment of a government before I leave this world. I'm quite old, so I hope they hurry up." The determination and hope the Venezuelan citizens have has shown a tremendous sign of bravery. They have been fighting this battle for a long time, and many think it's time for a change.
Okay, Alessandra, so it seems like there's a lot of bad feeling towards Nicolás Maduro. Do you know why he was elected in the first place if so many people dislike him?
Nicolás Maduro bribed the people with food and money, and so that they would vote for him. He basically purchased his vote.
Okay, Alessandra, thank you. Now with Maria Ruiz reporting on the women's meeting in Germany.
Thank you, Christopher. On Tuesday, our first daughter, Ivanka Trump, traveled to Berlin to defend her father's attitude towards women. As this being her first international travel as a White House advisor, it was nothing like she hoped it would be. Ivanka was telling all these women at a forum that her father was a tremendous champion of supporting families. After she said this, members of the panel and audience began to boo and hiss at her. All of the booing and hissing caused the panel's moderator, Miriam Meckel, to quote, "Some attitude towards women your father has publicly displayed in former times might leave one questioning whether he's such an empowerer for women." Ivanka answered her saying that she knew all this criticism her father has gotten from the media and all of it has been perpetuated.
Thanks, Maria. Okay, Danny. So I hear that something's going on with President Trump's new southern border wall. What's exactly occurring?
Yes, Christopher. Trump recently asked for $1 billion to fund the initial construction of the wall. But due to the fact that there may be a government shutdown this weekend and there's a lack of government funds, Trump has withheld this request.
Okay, so you said that it would be $1 billion from the United States budget, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so during the campaign, now President Trump said that Mexico would pay for the southern border wall. If he's trying to get money from our budget, how does he plan on doing this?
Well, the United States will be paying for the construction of the actual wall, while Mexico will be indirectly paying for it through tariffs and taxes that Trump has placed on Mexican imports.
Okay, so finally, what is President Trump's response and what is his reaction to the fact that he had to withdraw this ask for money? Final word.
He really doesn't care that so much. He just wants to get this wall built in order for... He says the wall's going to be built regardless in order to protect the United States, and he doesn't really want to let his voters down. He wants to keep his promise. Thank you.
Okay, now we have Isa Hernandez reporting on a meeting that President Trump had with all the senators.
Thanks, Chris. I'm Isa Hernandez, St. Kevin Report. Yesterday, President Donald Trump and almost every U.S. senator attended a meeting with North Korea to address the threat to the United States. They also discussed about the administration's strategy to pressure Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea. In reaction to these tensions in the country, the U.S. tested Minuteman with 3 missiles. The U.S. sent the message to North Korea that their nuclear weapons are ready for launch at any time.
Reporting on a flood in North Carolina, Lauren Escudero.
Thank you. I'm Lauren Escudero, St. Kevin Report. These past days in North Carolina, there have been storms that have dumped a lot of rain across much of the state. Residents of North Carolina have been aware of the rising rivers in the area. More than 8 inches had fallen in areas nearby Raleigh by Tuesday morning. These storms have set this April as the wettest April on record in Raleigh. Other areas in North Carolina received 5 to 7 inches. On Monday, heavy raining also occurred near Charleston, South Carolina, with about 3 inches. Governor Roy Cooper warned residents on Tuesday to stay cautious after the state's heaviest rainfall since Hurricane Matthew last year. The rain caused disturbance during the morning rush hour, and several motorists had to be rescued from their cars.
Okay, so now we're going to have a summary of Trump's first 100 days. Thank you for being here. Raquel, would you please begin with some of the things that President Trump has done well?
Thanks, Chris. A few things that President Trump has done well within his first 100 days in office is withdraw the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The TPP is a trade between the U.S. and 11 Pacific Rim countries. Another thing that President Trump has done is respond to Syria's use of nuclear weapons, with more than 50 airstrikes launched by the U.S.
Thanks, Raquel. Now with Carolina.
Well, a few things that Trump has done in his first 100 days is that the confirmation of the Neil Gorsuch into the Supreme Court. Gorsuch was nominated by a 54 to 45 vote recently after the Senate triggered the nuclear option. Another thing that Trump did was he signed the executive orders to protect police officers and target drug cartels.
Okay, so now let's discuss the bad things that have happened in his first 100 days. Raquel.
One of the bad things that has happened during President Trump's first 100 days in office is that he proposed a travel ban of immigrants from countries that support terrorist groups such as Iraq and Syria, which was overturned and ruled unconstitutional by federal judges more than once.
Now again, we have Carolina.
One of the bad things that has happened in the president's 100 days is that National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael Flynn resigned after he gave incomplete information about a phone call that he had with the Russian ambassador to Vice President Mike Pence. Another bad thing that happened was that they withdrew from the health care bill that the House of Republicans introduced as a replacement to the Affordable Care Act, which is also known as Obamacare.
Thanks to both of you. Please remember, if you like this broadcast, to check out our YouTube page, St. Kevin Catholic School. I'm Christopher Gomez, signing off for the crew of the St. Kevin Report.
Movement